I didn't think a flight could change how I see the world, but it did. One minute I was just another passenger, headphones in mind, half on my phone and half on getting home. The next I was standing there, heart pounding, realizing that some people had already decided who I was worth listening to and who I wasn't. And yeah, that realization hit harder than any turbulence ever could. Let me rewind a bit. I was flying home after a brutal stretch of work, the kind where you're running on caffeine and stubbornness. I'd booked a first-class seat not because I wanted champagne or status, but because I needed space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to exist without bumping elbows. I paid for that seat. Fair and square, end of story. Or at least that's what I thought. When I boarded, everything felt normal at first. The cabin smelled like coffee and that weird recycled airplane air. People in suits tapping on phones, a couple chatting about meetings, someone laughing too loudly at their own joke. I slid into my seat, stowed my bag, and told myself, just get through the flight. Easy. Then the flight attendant came by. She smiled, poured drinks, made small talk. When she reached my row, her smile faded, not dramatically, just enough that you notice it if you're used to noticing these things. She skipped me. Literally stepped past my seat and served the guy behind me. I waited. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she'd come back. I didn't want to be that person 5 minutes into boarding. She didn't come back. I finally leaned out and said as calmly as I could, "Hey, excuse me. Could I get some water?" She looked at me like I'd interrupted something important and said, "In a minute," then walked off. Not rude enough to complain about, not kind enough to ignore either. That gray area where you start questioning yourself. The flight took off. Minutes turned into longer minutes. Everyone around me had drinks, snacks, little white napkins neatly folded. I had nothing. The guy across the aisle glanced at me, then away like he didn't want to get involved. A woman, a few rows up, gave me a sympathetic look. I smiled back, small tired. When meal service started, it got worse. Trays came out one by one. Conversations, clinking silverware, that low hum of people settling in. My row was skipped again. I raised my hand, slightly polite, non-threatening. "Excuse me," I said. "I think my tray was missed." She sighed. Actually sighed. Loud enough for people nearby to hear. "We're very busy," she said. "You'll have to wait." The man next to me laughed under his breath and muttered something about impatience, about how some people always think they deserve special treatment. He didn't look at me when he said it. He didn't have to. The words landed anyway. I felt that familiar pressure in my chest, the one that says, don't react. Don't give them what they expect. So I sat there, hands folded, jaw tight, pretending I wasn't hungry, pretending I wasn't embarrassed. When she finally came back, she didn't bring food. She asked for my boarding pass. Right there, in front of everyone. "I need to verify your seat," she said, flat and official. I handed her my phone. My name, my seat number, everything correct. She stared at it longer than necessary, then glanced around like she was hoping someone else would back her up. A man a few seats away chimed in, all fake concern, saying, "You know, sometimes the gate makes mistakes." Another added, "First class is pretty expensive, you know." No one said it outright, but everyone knew what was being implied. That I didn't fit whatever picture they had in their heads. That my presence needed explaining. She finally dropped the tray onto my table with a sharp motion. The cup tipped. Water spilled straight onto my laptop. I grabbed it instinctively, heart racing. Months of work gone. She didn't apologize, just said, "You should be more careful," and walked off. I dried it as best I could, hands shaking, telling myself it was fine, that I'd deal with it later. I was so focused on saving my work that I didn't notice her coming back until it was too late. I heard someone gasp. I looked up. The bowl tilted. Hot soup poured over my lap, my hands, my shirt. The heat shocked me still. Not enough to seriously burn, but enough to hurt, enough to humiliate. I froze. Completely still. People stared. Someone laughed. Someone else looked away. She immediately switched tones. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," she said, loud, performative. The plane must have shaken. The plane was smooth. Everyone knew it. Something inside me snapped, not explosively, but quietly, like a switch flipping. I asked for a supervisor. She said she was the supervisor. I asked for the captain. She told me I was causing a disturbance. Security showed up. Guess who they looked at first? I realized then how this usually ends. The calm one gets labeled difficult. The person who is wronged gets asked to explain themselves over and over, while everyone else just wants things to go back to normal. So I made a call. One short call. I explained what happened, where I was, who was involved. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just told the truth. The response was simple. I've got this. Not long after, the captain announced an unscheduled landing. Confusion spread. People complained. The same guy who mocked me earlier was suddenly furious about his schedule. I sat there, soup-soaked phone buzzing with a single message telling me to stay put. When we landed, executives boarded the plane. Serious faces. Then the CEO. He apologized publicly. Then he announced the airline had just changed ownership. You could feel the air shift. Power dynamics flipping in real time. The flight attendant was suspended on the spot. The man who'd laughed was removed from the flight. Suddenly, everyone understood exactly how to behave. And here's the part that still messes with me. It didn't feel good. It felt heavy. Because I knew this outcome wasn't normal. It happened because I had backup, because I had power behind me. Most people don't. Most people swallow the insult, file a complaint that goes nowhere, and carry that moment with them forever. After that day, investigations happened. Patterns came out. Complaints ignored. Behavior excused. Changes were promised. Some were real. Some were overdue. I went back to my life, back to work, back to trying to make sense of how something so small could reveal something so big. I keep thinking about that first moment, the skipped drink, the look that said I wasn't expected to speak up. Discrimination rarely announces itself. It starts quietly testing how much you'll tolerate. So here's my question for you. If you'd been on that flight, what would you have done? Would you have spoken up? Would you have looked away? Have you ever seen someone being treated unfairly and felt that split second of hesitation, that moment where you decide whether to get involved or stay comfortable? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment. Argue with me if you want. Share your own experience, because these stories don't matter unless we talk about them, and silence is usually the reason they keep happening. If this story hit you, like it, share it, pass it on. You never know who needs to hear that they're not crazy for feeling what they felt, and that sometimes standing your ground really does change things.